the visual capitalist chart.
Yeah, you want to pull that up?
Yeah.
What did you want to say on that? You have comments on it?
Yeah, I just said, look, I went down this chart and I was looking at it, right? And this is
a $94 trillion world economy today in one chart.
Exactly. And they're basically saying by next year, 2022, the 94 trillion, we're going to add 6 trillion on top of it as a world GDP economy and go 100 trillion. This is what I found encouraging. So USA still number one, respect, at almost $23 trillion, okay? We printed more money in the past 24 months than literally every other country than China makes in a full-on year. Every other country. That's how much money we printed. So other than China, here are the countries in the top 10. Japan, 5 trillion. Germany, 4 trillion. UK, India, still under 3 trillion. France, Italy, Canada, South Korea. You go, other than China, everything in the top 10 is our ally. Something just to make note of. Number 11, Russia, 1.6 trillion. We hear about big bad Russia, big bad Russia. They have a smaller economy than South Korea. Just put that in perspective. They're the largest country by landmass in the world, and they have less GDP than South Korea. Then you got Brazil, Australia, Spain, Mexico, and not until you get down into Iran, which makes about as much as Saudi Arabia at number 17, do you have a, quote unquote ally of China in the mix. So even if China does surpass the United States, and I expect him to do so, Elon Musk came out and said that he probably thinks it's going to be double in the next few decades. The world, if we stay together, NATO allies, what have you, we still have the top 10 allies other than China, 2/3 of the world GDP.
Here's what and that's great that you're saying that. This is very good news, but I will tell you this. You have to keep in mind, so what causes China's GDP to get to 30 trillion? GDP. Yeah. What will cause it to get to 30 trillion? How do you get to 30 trillion? How do you create that much commerce? Is it all internal?
The world's still buying from China.
That's what I'm saying to you. So no matter how much those guys are all allies, you know how it's like? It's like this. It's like everybody can come around and talk shit about a guy until the guy shows up in the room. And what do they say? Oh, what's up, Johnny? Bro. How you doing? It's like, oh, G. Oh, how are you? Oh, my gosh. So until the guy walks in the room, everybody talks shit until he's eventually sitting there saying, dude, we still need that guy's manufacturing. It's kind of like this. Yeah. FDA, okay? You know when they say this is FDA approved, this is FDA approved, this is FDA approved. Where do you think they get their funding?
Is it from China?
What percentage of FDA you think gets their funding from Big Pharma? What percentage you think is Big Pharma?
Oh, what percentage from Big Pharma?
Big Pharma, yeah.
Yeah, 90-something percent.
It's 45%. So think about FDA gets 45% of their funding from Big Pharma, right? So who do you think FDA reports to? You think FDA reports to you? You think FDA reports to me? You think FDA wakes up every morning worried about kids, husbands, wives? Or do you think FDA wakes up every morning saying, we better not lose that what? The 45% of funding that we get from Big Pharma, okay? How many large media companies are controlled by Big Pharma? So no matter what, when Bernie Sanders gets up and says, we shouldn't let Big Pharma do this, oh, really? Go try to, if every time he says that, CNN doesn't like that story. MSNBC doesn't like that story. Why? Because as much as CNN and MSNBC will do a soft story on Big Pharma, they're not going to go after Big Pharma the way they go after Trump. Why? Because Big Pharma funds CNN.
Right.
All of these countries you just talked about, going up against China, if China makes their money because everybody needs to rely on their medicine, their air AC, their technology, their chips, all this stuff because of China, you're eventually going to get to a point of desperation where you're going to say, China, can we create an arrangement together? Can we create a contract together? It is not a look. Every great company, every great country, every great league that excels for a decade or two has a great number one. A great number one inspires others. Okay, when America was number one, what did America inspire others to do? Maybe capitalism works. Okay, maybe capitalism works. Other countries said we also ought to do capitalism, but if China is number one, what did it inspire other people to do? You think that's a good number one for the world? That's not a good number one. So what I'm trying to say is, when you are number one, you have a lot of influence and power. Right. I'm very much pro. Here's a number I follow. Do you know what is a percentage of GDP that India has grown this year in 2021? What do you think is the growth of GDP?
Percentage.
8.5%, 0.6% higher than last year. Okay. I love the fact that India is growing.
Right. Well, they're still under $3 trillion.
It's no problem. They're going to grow so fast. Look how fast. Who was China 30 years ago? Nobody.
Right.
Who is China today? Number 2. Who's India today? Don't get it twisted. Look how quickly India is going to come up.
So you're saying that's going to be a good thing for the
Fantastic.
world if India...
Fantastic.
Would it be a good thing of the world if if India surpasses China and the U.S.?
India's not a bad number one. India's not a bad number one.
Because they're a democracy?
India doesn't wake up in the morning saying, you better think like us or else. India doesn't wake up in the morning with Modi saying, take all the negative reviews out. India doesn't do that. It's what China does.
Right.
China believes in force. India doesn't believe in force. It's a mindset. You want the right mindset to be number one. Why is Steph Curry good for the NBA? Because it gets any other kid that's short saying, I can make it in the NBA as well. That's why he's good for the NBA. Okay? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. Not everyone's going to be 6'8", 250 like LeBron. You could be 6'2", 180 like Steph.
By the way, 250 was years ago. He's more like 275, 2. He runs like a center right now. You look at him and be like, this guy's not a 3 or a 2. He's a 5 right now when you look at him.
Speaking of pushing back against China or big pharma, it starts somewhere. Like like you brought up Bernie Sanders, but like as an example, NBA gets a lot of heat for not pushing back against China and what they did in Hong Kong and the pro-democracy and Daryl Morey, Houston Rockets, all that.
Yeah.
But then you got to respect what like the Women's Tennis Association just did in China.
It was tremendous.
Like, are you kidding me? What they did, they said we're not playing any more games in China.
Absolutely.
Because they're basically downplaying what happened to the Chinese tennis player.
Remember when I said this 3 months ago on a podcast. When it was me, you, Gerard, and one other person, and I said, watch the NBA flip their position on China when LeBron tweets something bad about China, okay?
Yeah.
You just saw the NBA having to respond to whose tweet that just came out in the last week? LeBron's. What did LeBron say? What the hell is this? COVID, flu, or cold? Tell me, because it's really pissing me off. I want to play the game of basketball, right? Props to the guy. The guy loves the game of basketball. He's not trying to stay out of the game. He ain't Kyrie. He's trying to play the game, right? Okay. No problem. LeBron is going to tweet something negative about China in the next few months. Watch matter of fact, do me a favor and note this in your account so we know how to bring back this video. Put it in your phone notes and text it to me so I can remember this date for us to remember exactly when this happened. LeBron's going to get out there and he's going to say something negative about China because he's not going to have any choice not to say it. He has to say it. He's going to say it. Yeah. Everyone's going to flip their position on China with NBA.
Why would he do something like that?
Because enough of people have been asking him the question to say, why do you call out Trump? Why do you call out this? Why do you call out that? Why do you call out this?
Yeah.
But you say nothing about China. Why? He's eventually going to flip the switch and he's going to say that. But it's not going to happen for a few months. He'll eventually do that. Anyway.
So you're thinking by the end of this season, right? Because the season is going to be on until June.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the next 3 to 6 months.
I think it'll happen in 2022.
He's going to come out and what, do you think it's going to be a tweet? Like you're making a prediction right now.
I'm making a prediction. He's going to do something in 2022 saying something negative about China. Either defending an ally of U.S. that's against China or opposing China. This will happen next 6
something like Daryl Morey did when he defended the protesters in Hong Kong.
Exactly. 6 to 12 months, that's going to happen.
So you think he's ready for that Chinese backlash? What do you think China will do if LeBron does something like that?
No, the way LeBron's going to do it is after knowing that the NBA is not going to go into China, it's not going to affect his pocket. That's how it happens. At that point,
he's going to become a billionaire in the next 12 to 24 months.
If he isn't already.
You actually think that he's that concerned about his pocket?
Let me ask you a question. For him to say something about COVID, flu, cold, who's he calling out?
I think he's just calling out the double standard that's out there just in general. You think he's calling out Fauci? You think he's calling out Biden? You think he's calling out the NBA?
Of course it is. It's a direct call out of the NBA policies. And the NBA policies are a direct reflection of Fauci's policies. And Fauci's policies are a direct reflection of the guy that appointed him even after Trump, which is who? Biden. Of course it's a call out. 1,000,000% it's a call out. Yeah, absolutely. He took a risk when he did that. So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.